Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope all the content that we've been putting out, I hope you've all been enjoying it. And thank you so much for the love that I've been receiving on those videos. You know, it really helps a lot and I appreciate y'all, right? Now, this video is a little different because I want to talk to you about the origin of this video first, right? All right, so I was in the chat and me and some of my guys were talking about, just basically like fighting games and the state of fighting games that we're in, because due to the fact that we have been lacking fighting games, so we've been talking about the ones that we actually have, the ones that we've had our hands on for years and everything, and what went wrong with these games. And a lot of them say that tier lists have killed the game. I'm not quite sure if that's the case, but I did find it interesting in their arguments. So for this video, I just want to talk about that a little bit. So let's get into it. Okay, so basically, what we were talking about with tier lists is, I would like to call it the death of originality. You know, and this comes basically off the grounds that a lot of games nowadays, a lot of fighting games, are only as good as the most popular characters, and the most popular characters are usually the ones that the pros use, quote unquote. I feel like back in the non-internet days, I want to say, like the early stages of like PS2 and PS1 and Xbox and everything like that, when fighting games came out, everybody jumped on them as quick as they could. And, we all went into the lab and just saw what this person could do, what that person could do, and everything like that. And we just had general fun, figuring out our own stuff. But nowadays, when it comes to actual fighting games, a lot of people like to seek the tier list. They like to see what the pros are using. Oh, I'm going to go with this because he knows what he's doing. So I'm pretty sure this character is going to be the bee's knees. Do not let me say bee's knees again, like ever. That's one. Number two, that right there cannot be how we perceive fighting games, okay? Because these fighting games are really like just made for us to enjoy it. If you are a true fan of fighting games, and when you get your hands on a new fighting game, you go to the lab and you really start working on a character, does your blood not start pumping? Like you just start feeling this adrenaline, like, oh yes, this is it, I'm about to kill this person, da da da, all because you found something that you thinking in your mind nobody else is on this. This is definitely dope. I created this, I made this. I didn't do shit because I went to YouTube and looked up combos. You didn't actually study nothing on your own. You went to YouTube and, say for instance, right, if you go to YouTube, let me tell you what happens with this. You go to YouTube, you look at a combo video. Usually, I don't know, I was just researching them. They're like about 2 minutes long, for just combo compilation videos. Not nothing that's going to teach you the combo, just a compilation. And you see about like, a good 3 or 4 combos, right? So after you do those 3 or 4 combos in practice mode, you're thinking, oh yes, this is going to be dope. That's all you find on that character. So that's all you do. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's all you do. So then now, when somebody comes out with that same character and doing more to you, you don't know how to react to that because you didn't practice that. They didn't teach you that. No. Instead, you got to go back to practice now, and now you really got to learn the character for yourself, right? You're like, damn, he just beat me with something that I've never knew had. I never knew I had. So when that happens, that's when you got to think to yourself, is it really best to be going to YouTube and learning these games off of YouTube? And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to step on nobody's toes in YouTube, but it's just the simple fact that I feel like death of originality happened when, we started putting tier lists and started holding these pros in high revere instead of actually looking to ourselves to like really study these games ourselves. So I just wanted to touch on that because this is the conversation that we were having. And I definitely understand their validation and their points for this. But at the same time, let me tell you where I stood on this now, right? I agree. Death of originality is definitely a thing. I wouldn't more so say it was tier list though. I just like to think that there's certain people out there who really don't understand because that's the new way we're in. I blame this trend. I don't blame tier lists themselves. I blame this trend of having YouTube teach people games when the people who have those games and are going to YouTube to look up how to play this, you can figure out yourself. Back then, a lot of people will say this now, but back then games were a lot harder back then than they are now. You know why? It's because back then we had to figure them out for ourselves. Now we have YouTube to teach us stuff, sort of like when people used to go to GameStop and buy what are those called? Those books, like I wouldn't say walkthrough. It was like a damn, I forgot what it's called, a guide or something, whatever. It doesn't even matter. What I'm talking about is, though, it's just the simple fact that back then we actually had to go out and do something about it. We had to play those games ourselves, or we had to go and just get those books from GameStop and to fully learn. Because I know a lot of people who played Pokemon back then on like Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color, they used those books from GameStop. We were not about to sit here and figure out everything like that. So, of course, it happened in last generation too. And so that's why I said I can't really blame these new kids, coming up and thinking like, oh, I got to go to YouTube for this, because that's the trend that we started. So I hold, my current generation at fault too. I don't just hold new players at fault. It's our fault too, because we let that become the new normal. Instead of actually playing a game and loving it for ourselves, we got to go on YouTube and look up combos. We got to go to YouTube and look up these tournaments and see like, oh yeah, I'm going to use what that person's using. I'm not going to practice myself because I know I'll never be that good. Instead, I'm going to go do exactly what he's doing and see if I could get there like that. And the thing is, y'all never make it. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. You never make it, because that's the wrong mindset. You think those pros are doing that? You think that's the mindset the pros had? No, you're following the blueprint that they already created, but hence they created the blueprint. So now when these game developers see that, say for instance, a game has a 50 plus roster and you're only using 12 characters, you know what they're going to do? They're going to patch that game. When they patch the game, now those 12 characters that you were using are now trash. And now you got to go and pick a new 12 because they're forcing you to play the game. That's the difference, and like I said, I don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything, or make this seem like I'm bashing a game. And no, I'm not a salty player because I lose in a fighting game or something like that. That's not the case at all. This was just a general conversation, and that I thought I would share with y'all because it was an important one. It was a vital one. I feel like there's a lesson in all of this. Don't let the internet dictate how you play your games, because mind you, these games are expensive as shit. The systems are expensive, the games are expensive, and you don't want to go out there and waste your money on something because you thought you could be like this person, when really you're not going to be there if you don't practice. So that was my only thing with that. And that's what I told them. That was the simple argument and everything. So I hope you guys learned a lot from this. And I really appreciate you making it this far in the video without bashing me or something like that. There's probably going to be some people who think negative and probably want to comment down below and talk their stuff. And that's fine. But understand this. Before you comment down below and try to hate on it, understand the point that I'm trying to make, We're not saying, oh, you can't be great at a fighting game because you learn from this person. No, we're talking about just the death of originality. Nobody's original anymore because we're so focused on what the pros are doing. That's my message in this video. If you want to be a pro, you got to go out there and you got to figure this stuff out for yourself. Basically, you got to sit in lab for hours, days, months, weeks, however long it takes. I probably said that in the wrong sequence, but y'all know what I mean. So yeah, that's that. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and please stay tuned for more content because I cannot wait for Guilty Gear Strive to come. I've been practicing on Rev 2 for the longest. I actually got that game late. The online was dead when I got it. Nowadays it's like the only people that play it are like Discord chat, so I got to jump in one of those and see if I can find some competition. Other than that, goodbye, people.